Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Wednesday for Waste Warriors. And today's episode is 87. So we have had a long journey, and finally we are moving towards our 100th episode. And I welcome DC Sekhar today. Um, it's important for two reasons. One, that we are going to be commemorating World Water Day on March 22nd. That's coming Saturday. And the second, that he's using technology and cleaning up the rivers from plastic pollution. So both those topics are so important, and this I think this episode or this conversation, we'll be bringing both those important things together. So, welcome, Shekhar. I really
Thank you.
happy that we are
Thank you.
talking today and we'll be sharing your insights and your journey. So, since we already had a long wait, I would just like to ask you the first question. How did this start and why did you think of doing this?
Some of the things I'm doing now is perhaps what I thought of in the early 90s.
Okay.
Somewhere in some European country, I see a clean river, and the thought comes to me, why not in India? Why
True.
can't we have that in India? And one thing also stuck me, that these very people have dealt with their problems. No one comes from outside to help you.
True.
So that was something 30 years back. I thought if I have to do if something has to be done, I have to step up. I have to do that.
Mhm.
And I did believe I have a capability for designing,
Mhm.
and not the opportunity at that time, but now almost 10 years we are designing various technologies, and the river cleanup technology has become more famous,
Mhm.
more well known,
Mhm.
but we have a portfolio of other technologies and patents.
Yes. Yes, you mentioned and about the robot, you,
That's right.
being used for cleaning the petroleum tanks, which
Yeah,
eliminates dangers and
mandatory.
hazards for the man. That's really a very amazing thing because I guess that is where we need technology. If it can be done using technology, awesome. We'll talk about that. I think before that, I would like you to kindly introduce yourself. What do you do? And when you retired, how did this second inning start?
Right. Okay. I was in the merchant navy from 1980 to 2003. And 2003, I went few years. I was working in Singapore. I was a risk manager in a shipping company, and the job did was boring for me. But couple of years I managed. I studied finance management there. I'm good at numbers. Came back, did IM Bangalore executive management, and one thing led to the other, and I started this company. And then for the last 10 years, we have been developing technologies, various technologies. And I believe the human intelligence is very, very equitably distributed around the world, better than oil and minerals. And we get our fair share. And with our kind of population, we should be punching higher in the weight class. But well, that's where we are.
I guess, like mineral extraction, this also needs to be extracted. So there have there,
Yeah.
we need taskmasters who shall, channelize the energies and intelligence. It just remains unpolished um, in so many areas, and also lack of opportunities, lack of mentors who can kind of shape up the future or career of these youth कि उन्हें बताए आप क्या कर सकते हो क्या option है अभी भी people are stuck with the engineer doctor lawyer. Now, couple of new things are adding up, like added to the list, like collector, IS officer, policeman, or YouTuber. ऐसे करके they want, but still that thing of a marine engineer or a river cleanup technology or robotics. That's still a little far-fetched thought. So I'm sure with your guidance जैसे the youth will be listening, they'll be able to ask you question and take it. You can take them to their goal. We do have a lot of experts who work on water and river who've joined us today, and I'm sure some more will be joining. So, how expensive it is, because river flows through villages, and the trash also flows from cities to villages, and ultimately it's the urban people who are contaminating, but the price has to be paid by everybody, including the villagers and people who are not the culprits. So how expensive is this, if suppose it has to be done in villages, or how can is it accessible,
Okay,
the
let me.
river cleanup technology?
Yeah, see, we work with a couple of principles. One is do not spend a drop of fuel in the river.
Yes.
The flowing waters will bring to where you like to collect it. So you be smart about where you like to collect it, a good road connectivity.
Mhm.
And yes, the city generates a lot of trash. Very interestingly, 10 years back, I was sitting in a meeting with some corporation officials, and one of the officials told his colleague that, look, until the trash is on the land, we can deal with it. But once it falls into the water, it's out of control.
Yeah.
And then I realized I have a role to play because I know exactly what to do once it falls into the water.
Wow.
Okay. If you take the journey of a plastic wrapper, let's say we just dropped it and somebody has dropped it, and it is flying here and there in the wind, and one fine day there's a rain and it reaches the nearest drain. And from there starts a very long unidimensional journey of that plastic wrapper from a small drain to bigger drain to a stream to a river, and then it crosses the river mouth, and then it goes into a two-dimensional spread. And after some time, it is beaten down by the waves. It breaks up into microplastics and then goes down into the water column. With the technology we have today, I'm not talking about the uh, intelligence. I'm saying what we have on the ground, the bang for bucks, the financial prudence. With that, we can't even pick up plastics on the sea surface, leave alone what has gone down to the water column. So the smartest thing is to intercept it in the long unidimensional journey and pick it up.
Mhm.
As far as the costs are concerned, we have our pressures, but I can tell you one thing. When we did Kuvam River project,
Okay.
uh, my cost was 1% of the international campaign. 1%. And the international campaign required some fuel to do its operation, and we worked purely on the flow of river. So it was zero carbon footprint at 1% of the cost. Now I'm more expensive, now probably 5% of the international campaign, but still we have a lot of logic, a financial logic to what we are doing, and environmental logic to what we are doing. And at the moment, we are arresting and bringing to the river bank using the natural flow of the river. Very soon, we'll be putting turbines in the water and also lifting off the plastics from the river to the vehicle.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds good. And a follow-up question: right now, when it is getting collected, is there a tie-up for collection of the collected material?
Currently, we ask the urban local body to take that away and dovetail into their solid waste management system.
Mhm.
I know many people raise eyebrows saying that this has come to the river because, but I don't put the entire blame on the urban local body, because we are a pretty indisciplined bunch of guys,
Mhm.
and no corporation in the world can sweep every inch of the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they have collection points. We have to facilitate by putting it there, which we don't do. So
Mhm.
it is not entirely them to blame. Yes, there is capacity building required, disposal at the tail end of this. All of these issues matter. Yeah, if we give a fair chance, I remember in Calcutta in '84, I was going to a metro station. On the surface, it was all dug up and pretty much a mess. But when he went into the metro, it was on the first metro in India, if I remember right, and spick and span platform. And I've seen ordinary passengers picking up a piece of paper and putting it into the dustbin. And that told me long time back, I'm talking of 84, that look, it's not in our DNA to be messy. But if the mess is around us, and then we seem to find a justification, okay, so what if I throw trash here?
Exactly.
That's what
That's just an
happens.
excuse and convenience, and I think absence of civic sense or I don't care attitude also, and plus a lot of like we see it, you see it, and everyone knows it that especially in the urban population there is a new attitude that we pay taxes. So it's not our job to clean, somebody else will clean, so they expect, the expectations are long list, but that's what our group is called, my waste my responsibility. So we all do have our roles and responsibilities and duties, and then we get the fundamental rights. But people love to talk about rights and do all the wrongs, but they don't talk about their duties and responsibilities. And that's where we want to bring in a change that, listen, guys, it's a two-way system. So, really, really happy that you also are hopeful and you believe that it can work, because we don't need to see it as a dark future कि बिल्कुल नहीं हो पाएगा, like people say कि इंडिया में
Not at
कोई
all.
नहीं सुधर सकता and all that. It's a tough
uh,
battle, very tough battle, but yes, let's be
no,
hopeful.
but I'll tell you something interesting. A few years back, myself, my wife, and few families nearby, we used to go out on a Saturday morning to clean up the mess in the road corners. Sometimes, the Swachh Bharat kind of a small initiative on our side. And what you see is, initially it's difficult to put your hand in, but once you put in a hand in and you lose the inhibition and you clean it up, and only those people who clean it up, they are very vocal about keeping it like that, protecting it like that. They are going to let loose very colorful language if somebody throws a piece of trash over there. And there are others who will simply stand and nod their head saying you're nice people, but it is no use. They are
Exactly.
very pessimistic. I myself believe in the next 10 years we can clean up our rivers, our pond lakes. It needs yeah, what is normalized? See, today a person who comes into a city, stays in the slums or something, his economic compulsion, he doesn't have the sensitivity to look around him and all that. But once he buys, does well for himself, buys a nice phone, a nice TV, this is the new normal for him outside the house. The mess is a new normal. He doesn't get shocked out of it. That's our problem. And we need to live in cleaner surroundings and start get that should be the new normal. And I believe we can reach there in about 5-10 years time.
We have to create the new normal. Like we saw a little thing happen during Corona, and you know that discipline had to come in. So I'm sure this also can come in. And like Dr. Snehal has asked, she works in Bombay on the rivers there, and she's has a question. Uh, if you have a video or something that you can give a demo about this
I can do that. Yes,
technology,
I'll do that. I'll
I'll
share my screen. Hmm?
I'll make you the co-host, and then you can.
I think it's highlighted. Share screen is highlighted.
All right,
Okay, I'll straight take you to this Google Earth.
sure.
Uh, you can see my screen now?
Yes. Can everyone
Yeah. You-
see the screen?
yeah. See, this is a barrier, a long barrier that we've installed in Musi River in Hyderabad.
Hyderabad.
Yes, and the water flows from the left side of the screen to the right side. When it hits this barrier, it keeps sliding along until it goes into that
Corner.
corner. Yeah, and the trucks come, the JCBs come there and pick it up from there and take it away. They actually spend not more than 30 minutes in one location.
Okay.
Now, this is roughly about 130 meters long. We have made our design has the lowest drag force in the world.
Okay.
When I say drag force, I mean when you put your hand inside flowing waters, your fingers feel a little pressure of the water. That's drag force. For it to be able to withstand uh, flowing waters, long installations, It needs to have the lowest drag force and only stop the solid waste, let the water pass through. We have, in fact, the longest barrier in the world of 192 meters in Adyar River
In Chennai.
uh, in Chennai. That's right.
Very nice.
Yeah. Let me show you.
Used to be living in Chennai, so I know idea.
You know Adyar. Okay, you know Kuam. Kuam was never called a river, it was called a drain.
Exactly.
And yeah, but the solid waste got cleaned up. Okay, I'll take you to the first installation we did in 2016 in Etiraj College, Egmore.
Okay. Yeah. That is
This is the one.
2016.
This is next to. That's right. 2016 was our first installation.
Mm.
Yeah, this is the one. So what we did, uh, see, you have this very famous company that's cleaning up the garbage patch in the Pacific. They put interceptor boats. Their approach is different. We believe no
Yeah.
interceptor boat is required. The put you put the barrier diagonally, and whatever comes here, it will all come to the corner. You locate it in such a way that at the downstream end, a vehicle can come and simply pick it up, scoop it up, and take it away. In the year 2018, 22,000 tons of this was removed, trash, and that included 10% of plastics. And not a drop of fuel was spent on arresting it or bringing it to the river bank. When you put an interceptor boat in the middle of the river, you need other boats to empty that, and those boats consume fuel.
Yes.
So we didn't find any reason why you should pick it up in the middle of the river and burn fuel to send the same thing to the river bank. Okay, now this year we plan to go into the coastal water, into the open sea,
Hmm.
and clear the plastics. Mostly it will be in Bombay. We need the cooperation of the local municipality to take away whatever we are collecting.
Hmm.
And we intend to use ocean wave energy and the wind energy,
Right.
deep sea anchoring, some of the techniques that will make it a very low carbon footprint approach. We do
Hmm.
not want to get two big tugs burning 10 tons of furnace oil each every day to pull the sea. We think it's not such a smart approach. So yeah, that's our plan.
That's really nice. And you said one thing that you said, like I'll allow Dr. Snehal, you could ask your question if you still have, but I just have a small question. You said
Yeah,
10% of it was plastic, what you collected near
that's it.
in Etheraj College in Adyar River. So what was the 90%?
Okay, 90% was organics. Okay, this is 10 installation. One of them was Etiraj. Etiraj was the first one, and after that we deployed 10. And then 22,000 came out, 21,665 to be exact, and 10%, 2,165 tons of plastics came out. And then we had organics, the plants, certain thermocol, and a lot of other things. But 2,165, this was in the Hindu newspaper. And yeah,
So we are all crying and shouting and screaming about plastics, and here we have like 90% of etc. things other than
yeah.
plastic. That's also
But
a big alarm. But people only talk about plastic in the river water or any water body or an ocean. But like you said, and of course you must have seen that composition. There are clothes, there are all sorts of worship things, even gods, photographs, and murtis are floating. Then organic, yes, flowers and dead animals, and
sofa sets,
yeah, exactly.
sofa sets, animals, all of that come. But most of them are biodegradable at some point of the time, and nothing is the like the plastics that's going to take ages to biodegrade. And now we have plastics from Mariana Trench to the Himalayas. Mariana
Yes.
Trench is the deepest spot in the ocean, and then the Himalayas, the highest. We have plastics everywhere. That is, I'm not saying plastics is the problem. The disposal of plastics is the problem because we still have not really found a substitute. Now, one more thing I'd like to point out is in case of the river, the job is easier because flowing waters brings to where you want to bring. But you do not have currents, very good currents in the sea, but you have huge waves that puts challenges. So we have to move the sea through the water, and that's why we take the help of the wave energy, the wind energy, or you hold the barrier in one place with anchoring and let wherever you have little bit of current that will bring it to the sea. And we'll be using vessels of opportunity, the fishing boats, to take it uh, away for disposal into the port. That's a broad plan.
So, we have a question. Let me ask the question. Or Mr. Muni, would you like to ask the question? आप खुद पूछना चाहेंगे? Unmute करके. You can do that.
I have posted it in my
Yes,
chat
I
box
saw that. You want
because
me
this
Right.
that angular
Um,
geometric separation is a wonderful idea, but that only addresses the floating material. And whatever material, whatever contaminant, they have small fraction as soluble portion. How does this scheming help to address the soluble portion of the contaminants? Thank you.
okay. Uh, Let me take it one by one. The liquid, dissolved liquid effluents, we don't even touch. That remains as it is. The small microplastic, what's already broken down to microplastics or small particles, they go past. We are not removing them. Let me be very honest. We have 20 steps mankind has to do, and we are just in the second step. And I would like more people to put their shoulders in and find technology for various things. We picked up what we said can be achieved by us is stop the macroplastic from going to the sea that is going to become break up and become microplastics, go down into the water column, and we can probably never in the foreseeable future remedy that. And that is what we are dealing with. We made some technologies to clean lakes. In that, we have used what we call as a tandem sweeping system. Tandem sweeping system. Two water jet boats together is pulling a 10-meter wide sweep going, and it is hauling all the organic, the hyacinth, the trash, everything to one side of the lake. And these water jet propelled boats do not have propellers, so they don't get entangled with the plants. And these are all made by us, designed by us. Everything, whatever I'm saying, everything 100% made in India, made in Bangalore, designed here before 6 o'clock in the morning, and after that goes to the workshop. And we have cleaned the lakes fairly fast using those systems. Okay, I will let me take a step aside and then tell you about our ocean wave energy harvester. Would you like me to discuss that, Mr.? Yes.
Yeah, I
Okay.
would just like to ask, sir, your question
Yeah.
about the soluble part. Uh, उसके बारे में I can only say that the damage has been done. That requires the treatment plant at the right at the beginning जहाँ पे हम consume करके निकालते हैं. But that is अगर हम देखें तो those treatment plants are dead and standing.
Here we are discussing transfer, not even treatment. Whatever is received at the shoreline, transferred through vehicles. But what is the fate of that?
Yes, of
We
course.
are transferring the trash. And the treatment word is very loosely used, especially by the solid waste engineers. Thank you.
Yeah, like
No,
yes, Shekhar, you can ask.
I wear a hat that only takes out the macroplastics and solid waste at a low cost per ton from the water. That's the only magic I do. I don't have claim for anything else. There are a lot of experts once it is out of the water who can do this and that. I don't understand half of that. It's a very big science by itself. And I don't even try to understand that. We focus on the water and how to remove these things. It's not easy in the water. The forces are huge. When I say I have made the longest barrier in the world in Adyar River and the second longest also in Adyar River, it has its own challenges. My focus is on dealing with those challenges. Now I'm doing it at a low environmental cost and doing it a reasonably low financial cost. Now we have developed ocean wave energy harvester and tested this in an indoor wave pool in IIT Madras. Uh, just for interest, let me tell you, the wave motion you have, that's got energy in it. In fact, it bends steel pipes on the ships. And now you have to make it into a useful form so that you can use that energy. The most popular way is to pump fluids with that motion. When you pump fluid into high pressure container, it becomes potential energy. The other method, not so popular, is to rotate a shaft. In our case, we rotated a shaft, low RPM, a 5 RPM, but very high torque. And that can be geared and brought it to 200 RPM and put an alternator, converted to electrical power, or you run a hydraulic pump. And that hydraulic fluid is pressure and return line, you have your power. We did that. Then we designed another wave powered boat, and it is pumping fluid with the motion. It is like when you're on a roller coaster, you're going up and down, your stomach is following your body. There's a phase difference that makes a person puke. And if you take the hull as the outer body as the outer hull and the stomach as the inner hull, there is a continuous movement between them. And if you use a bellow pump in between, you can pump fluid into a reservoir at a high pressure. And that can be used for water jet propulsion at a slow speed. It will go slow, but it is self-propelling. So it's a small craft with a huge cruising range, good for surveillance applications.
Good.
Uh,
So lots of
So
lots of
the energy generated would be proportional to the oscillation and sinusoid movement of the wave. Can it be
that's
can it be bigger than that,
no.
or it is
See,
an
one of the issue,
accumulation?
yeah. See, one of the issues is, uh, big ship does not roll much with the waves because it's straddling two wave crests. So this has to be naturally a small vessel, roughly one fourth of the wavelength, so that it responds maximum to the waves up and down. That is when you are able to harness maximum. Okay. Now let me tell you about the robot that we created. I'm just talking freely. If you want to
I
redirect me to some topic, please do so.
yes, I wanted to check with
Yeah.
Snehal if she wanted to ask anything else because you
Uh,
said you're going to be working on this in the Bombay, like oceans in Mumbai, and she is in Mumbai. So I would just like that, if she has something to say, Dr. Snehal.
Yes, good evening to everyone.
good evening.
And
Good
Dr.
evening, Dr.
Shekhar, I
Snehal.
was just thinking that there are so many today float traps are there as such, and that's what is an innovation. Now, I was expecting in today's this thing also, like just not collecting, but at the same time, if it can be degraded or say disposed, the machine should be that because you people are an innovator, you are engineers and all, so you have a lot of great idea. So using this wave energy, wind energy, and all in this machine itself, so that some way we have to look at where at source disposal also should happen. Today what is happening that all these floating this thing are waste is collected and it is taken to the dumping grounds. And at the same time, when you were talking about the hyacinths and other, actually they should not be removed. Good that if you are spraying and putting it on one side, that is good thing. But in this whatever the discussion today happening, if little can be added for even the dispo, because you refer to the Mushi river. I have seen the way Mushi is totally polluted with garbage only, with plastics and all in the nearby area, because that what is that big this thing is there, some heritage place it is. And then there is a lot of plastic which is in Mushi river. At the same time, you talked about Adiyar. See, Adiyar, Mushi, they are not having much of as issue of floating garbage. But yes, I've seen all plastic, but mostly it is of the, as Munibhai said, about the soluble dissolved material which are there. So that is a big problem. So if at all our these equipments, because today there is a lot of waste trap, like floating trap, these things are there, what you call it as trash booms, and many other things are there which are removing these trash out. But ultimately our problem today is the number of the dumping sites becoming bigger and bigger. Today somebody was talking to me. He said that because today now is the fashion of compressed biogas system. Now these petroleum companies, they are asking for big lands which should be provided to them. They will come, they will put their machines, and then they will convert this wet waste into biogas. That's what they are talking about. So now my question to you is, while we are designing these kind of vehicles to collect the floating garbage, along with that, if at the same time we can do some measures for the disposal of it, that if it can be added while you are doing so much with IIT Madras and many other things, and you are a mariner also. So I think in the designing and innovation part, if something can be incorporated or added, like we
Okay.
add value to the products,
Okay.
is the thing. Yeah.
You have told me many things, ma'am. I don't
Yeah.
know whether I have. Okay, number one, I believe many people have to chip in. I'm not good at biology or chemistry. I was poor in my school, and I'm good at physics. Let me be honest. That's number one. So I have made a barrier that is the top floating barrier with the lowest drag force, the longest ones for the bigger rivers, and efficiently low cost remove this. Tomorrow, this is going to go also to dam reservoirs to keep their trash racks clean. We have made a silt trap. I'll just come to what all you pointed out, what all I should be doing, but I think it's too big for my shoulders to do so many of those things. And yes, definitely needs to be done. And second thing is the distances in the seas are very large. Logistic cost is a very big factor. You cannot go take it to an island to dispose of the plastics. Whatever you do with the plastic, you cannot take, the island themselves can't handle their own waste. So you have to bring it to a bigger city and give. Now, how a city like Bombay, we have installed one in Ghatkopar, a barrier in one of the stormwater drains, and you have to see the amount of trash that gets collected. It's huge. In Musi River, every day 10 tons of trash and weed used to collect. Weed we used to remove, we used to put back. We wouldn't send it for disposal, the hyacinth. But the trash was going 10 tons every day. In 3 years, 10,000 tons of trash was removed from that river. We just finished our contract in last November, and we're not doing that anymore. So we have made it easy to bring it to the river bank, remove it at a low cost in a very efficient manner. That is our success. And I'm not claiming that we will be able to do a lot of other things. My focus is to clean the water body, remove these things. How a corporation deals, Chennai Corporation gets 5,000 to 6,000 tons a day. If this 20 tons goes to them, it is out of the water. That's my only satisfaction. If they're not dealing with that 5,000 tons, then this 20 ton will also come back. There's no doubt about it. But I'd rather they worry about the 5,000 tons. I cannot do any magic there. We have developed oil spill response equipment that is very necessary in case of an oil spill to do it at a higher velocity. We are developing technologies to deal with it at scale, sustainable scale. People have asked me, why don't you make people aware not to throw? I would like, but there are better people than me who are better at communicating with the community, and they will go and tell why you should not throw it here. A lot of these things has to be controlled at source. The liquid effluent, the black water, gray water, all that has to be controlled at the source Once it comes into a river flow is 50,000 liters a second, a small city river. And none of these solutions is anywhere to scale. STPs is a checklist item today in most of the places. How good it is working is a very, very big question. We have not come there yet. Installing an STP seems to be the destination rather than how good it is operating. So there's a lot of things to be done by various people with various expertise. And what I'm taking on my shoulder is to use renewable energy, remove it from the rivers, remove it from the coastal waters. We will not go to the middle of the sea. We have that belief you shut the taps before you mop the floor. So we need to stop all this in the rivers before it goes to the sea, because what goes into the sea is not going to get remediated or treated or anything like that. Is going to be there for the next few 100 years. The microplastics. That's where we are. I don't know if I've disappointed you, Dr. Snehal. Okay, by the way, I'm a captain of a ship. I'm not a learner doctor. So I
No,
learn
no, no,
everything
good.
intuitively.
I'm happy you said about this oil spill equipment and all that which you devise. So that is also a great thing. So good.
Yes, ma'am.
I was expecting this answer. No, no worries. That good thing that is
Yeah.
you are helping in the removal of. That's how I feel that in Mumbai, where the Mitti River meets the ocean, there also it is needed.
That's
So
right.
at least at that place, if we can, because a lot of trash keeps coming and it's moving towards the ocean and near that junction of Dadar and Mahim where it
Yes.
meets the beach. So that's
It's like this. We work with urban local bodies. I'm a person who's devised these technologies. But when you go and deploy, you're running a business. And when you run a business and with urban local bodies, a lot of my mind space is taken away by how to deal with them. And less
that's true.
mind space is available how I can design better. And
Uh,
so Bombay, we have discussed with them. Ghatkopar, we have done. Bombay might be better of these places. I have our installations are from Tawang Valley in
mhm,
Arunachal Pradesh to Tuticorin to Goa. Incidentally, we have also signed an MOU with the Goa government to do the entire coastline of Goa, stop all the plastics going into the sea, and funded by
okay.
CSR. We have also
Okay.
signed an MOU with ISRO to develop artificial intelligence to
Mm,
profile plastics in the water. ISRO has
mhm,
got the maximum images from the sky, and
mhm,
they have developed algorithm, but it's no good unless you ground truth those algorithms with the terrestrial images. And we have the maximum collection of terrestrial images inside in the barriers. So we are able to compare the two and keep fine tuning the algorithm.
That's really
Shekhar Saab,
Hanji.
really wonderful. You have identified the area to focus upon. Now my question comes to that, just to learn more from you.
Please, please.
See, the oil film
Hmm.
over a paper, piece of paper or a plastic, once funneled to your shoreline collector, that film will make the treatment of the floating solids more complex.
Okay, let me explain the in a little bit more detail. When the oil spills, very soon, oils have various types. High pour point oil, waxy crudes. Little bit when they fall on the sea surface, after a little bit of time, they start becoming what we call as mousse, like grease. None of the skimmers today can handle that mousse. We have mandated equipment, but they cannot handle this thick oil. It's like a paste. And every ship worth its name has furnace oil. Furnace oil is high pour point that becomes thick, like greasy, very fast. When a spill happened in Ennore, we had the only skimmer in the country and in the world, perhaps. I don't know about the world, but none of them had a skimmer that could handle the thick mousse. And I had made this 3 years before that incident because I know one day furnace oil will spill and nobody has thought about it. And when that happens, everybody is high and dry. We made one, it was lying in the corner of the warehouse, my warehouse. And when the spill happened, we pulled that out. It worked for 1.5 days, and rest of the people were holding buckets, standing on the rocks and passing the oil. So what I'm getting is it's quite a complex thing. And then when this oil falls into the skimmer, you cannot move fast and skim oil. Why? Because to skim oil, I cannot take a mesh and move through the water. The oil will go past. The way I'm doing for solid waste, I cannot use a mesh. I have to use a solid fabric. And when I use a solid fabric, as I'm moving through the water, the drag forces are very high. The fabric will lift, and whatever is collected in will escape. So I have to be very slow in moving. You will not believe this is a mistake European companies have made to try to arrest solid waste using the solid fabric, because the river flow increases, everything escapes. It's intuitively not difficult to understand, but people make very very basic mistake. The first installation of the Pacific cleanup, if you see, when they went to the middle of the ocean, spent millions of dollars, they took a solid fabric and tried to move through the water, and they said we are not able to retain it. It is not difficult to understand, but they made mistakes of that skill because funds come easy in the Western world. So they get into prototyping faster than thinking. We don't get funds even after delivering, so we think many times, and by the time we make a prototype, all the snags are sorted out. You know,
Problems of abundance.
yes, I call it the curse of overcapitalization, because they jump into prototyping, jump into marketing, whereas we think through many times. I just for interest as an innovation. I mean, I've been doing this. I believe, like you're standing on the zero of an x-axis. Just imagine. On the minus side, you have all your learnings in the college, the books you have read, the podcast you have seen, anything. All that is your knowledge. Just think on the plus side, you have uninhibited imagination. A technocrat, senior technocrat, has got an abundance of repository on the minus side, but he has stopped imagining long time back anything that has not been taught. And a lazy kid can be very good daydreamer, but doesn't have the experience to know whether it will work or not. So me, after a lot of cross industry experience and all this gray hair, I still retain a bandwidth to sit and simply imagine crazy ideas, and then flip back to the practical side to see whether I can make it work. In fact, I call it biomimicry. Lot of what I have done is I imagine that if I had a giant hand, how I will do this, and see if I can make a machine to do that. In our office, often my staff tells me, if that is so simple, somebody would have done it. And I have a very good argument I'd like to show you against that. One second on the screen. You can see this crescent of a moon here. Yeah. Now at night sky, can you tell me how do you get a sense of direction, east, west, north, south? Any idea? Pole star is the obvious answer, right? Any other idea? No. Okay.
Unknown
East,
land.
west.
East, west, north, south. How do you look at the sky and tell? Now you look at it like this. Uh, you see the moon is not shaped like this. It's a ball, and one side of the ball is lit up. You agree? That's why we are seeing this as a crescent. Just imagine a torch is lighting one side of this ball. You know
That's
where
the
is the torch? Yeah. You see this direction. I don't know if you can see my cursor move.
Yeah.
The torch is shining from here. The torch is nothing but the sun.
Mhm.
So the moment you see the crescent of the moon, you know where is the sun under the horizon.
Mhm.
If you see this at 7 o'clock in the evening, it is pointing to the west. Where the sun is under the horizon, that is the west. If you see it 5 o'clock in the morning, the sun will come up from there. That's the east. Logical? Easy to understand? But this is not written in any book. I must have told this to maybe a couple of thousand people. Everybody understood within 30 seconds, but nobody ever told me it's written in a book. You look at the moon, it's far easier to look at the moon than to see a pole star. Pole star is a small star, not visible in the southern skies. hidden by cloud, whatever. But a moon, crescent of the moon, so easily visible, right? That is my argument to say that look, the obvious has not been taken. Perhaps normally women go for the simplest obvious solution, men take the complicated one, and sometimes I think we have to step back and see, is the simple solution really taken? Whatever we have designed is not rocket science. I'm surprised that the people in the industry have not thought about that. That surprises me. We haven't done anything very, very out of the ordinary. And the human mind is the best design machine. Software is a software, far behind. And the human body is the best designed machine. One exercise we did in our office with our staff is that let's say a small baby has fallen into a borewell, abandoned borewell, which is happens in the country so much time. And we said, if I have to make a robot to rescue that baby, how do I do it? So whenever mind comes to a dark corner, not finding a way, I think of a giant hand. And I thought of that Incredibles, that comic where the woman, her hand goes very, very long. And you imagine the hand goes very long into the pipe, and the moment you touch the baby's hair, you feel the texture. Then you put a little lower hand, little, you can feel the nose, you can feel the face of the baby, then go down further under the baby, pick up the baby. The amount of information going from your fingertips to your brain and then coming back is so beautiful, so fast. And to make a robot of that caliber is going to take ages for us. And that's why I believe robotics should try to protect life, mind sweeping, ocean, depth of the ocean exploration, space exploration, maybe those kind of applications. Putting a driver out of the job and making a driverless car can wait. There's no hurry. You know,
That's true.
yeah.
This is such a beautiful thing. Like you mentioned, Elastic Girl, Mr. Incredible. So you can imagine. I remember there was a horror film, a horror movie, where the protagonist had that power. Her hand would reach whose neck she wants to catch. And sometimes you remember the visuals. You may forget, like I forgot the name of the movie, but I remember that visual very clearly. And if you're sitting here and if you want something or you want to stop something for falling, sometimes you're like, I wish I had hand like that could do. So those things are those kind of triggers for your creativity and
Yeah,
innovation.
triggers.
That's really a good example. Yes, sir.
Very true. Very
Sekhar
true.
Saab, ek
Ajay,
just instant
please,
thinking.
please.
Where any solid floating object or something which is little below the air-water interface,
Right.
once coated by any oil, will become little lighter than original material.
Yes.
Now, that will add to
Well,
your
let me qualify that. One second. Let me qualify that. If it is inside the water, that means I will call it neutral buoyancy, density of the water itself. And since oil is lighter, the moment it gets coated with oil, it will become overall little lighter. Yes.
So, with more flow, the accumulation of the floating material will also increase. So,
See,
ultimately,
coagulation is different. Coagulation is different.
no. I'm not talking coagulation. I'm talking a piece of paper on one hand, and on the other, the same piece of paper, same size, coated with oil.
Right.
Now, both have
Right.
different treatment regimes. So, in this kind of net dragging or skimming, whatever you name the technology, the oil spill coating on every small floating piece of paper or plastic will complicate that further treatment.
That's right. It is. This is what we call as a it is very true. When Sundarban's oil spill happened, the skimmers did not work because a lot of pigs and other trash in the river, they got coated with oil, and the pumps can't handle the solid waste in the oil itself. So incidentally I made this floating trash barrier for Sundarbans when I got there. Nobody ever called me for the oil spill response. That is dictated by the mandated in equipment inventory, and it's popular for the river cleanup. So now, practically, what happens in the oil spill is it's a physical containment and recovery, and putting it in temporary storage in the middle of the sea and like a pillow tank, and then that gets pulled to the side. So we are not connected with the river bank unless the oil itself is on the beach or river bank somewhere. Yeah.
Taking this little deeper, in early 70s, near Saurashtra, Oka port, there was an oil tanker mishap and the oil was spilled over the sea water. And the Gandhinagar center said, put it set to fire. And now that will deplete the dissolved oxygen and the all fish would die. So there was some culture used that feeds on the oil.
Yes. Okay,
What?
I understand what you're pointing out. I'll explain to you both the things. One is
Gee,
setting fire to the crude oil is not easy because most of the time lighter elements they evaporate, and what remains is not ready to catch fire most of the time. And but it was used in Gulf of Mexico extensively by adding more diesel to it and burning it. Lot of smoke happens, so you're always debating whether it's a net environmental benefit or not. That is one part. The other part, one second, I just missed one out of my mind. What? Yeah, uh, it. Uh, what they do is they spray oil spill dispersant that breaks it down to smaller particles and that sinks the oil. Again, not a great net benefit because oil is there inside the water only. It goes down, except it cannot travel on the surface long distances anymore. And suppose it was heading towards a mangrove, you are justifying that I'm sending it down to the in the seabed here so that it doesn't travel towards the mangroves. So these are very limited tools available to deal with these things. And this burning has been used recently, and it's not such a great thing because it creates a lot of smoke, and then you're adding a lot of air pollution instead of the water pollution.
any surfactant application can be imagined.
Yeah, surfactants can be used. Definitely, surfactants can be used, but sometimes it goes away from the coast. See, there are NIO and Coast Guard together. They test all this medium, what can be applied to the sea on this oil spill to disperse it, or any surfactant. There is no environmental friendly biodegradation happening. But one of the challenges of biodegradation is in the sea, it is very difficult to hold on physically to that oil in the so many waves in the coast. 15 days. If it has already come on the beach, you can do bioremediation because it's not going anywhere. You apply the medium and then you leave it for some time, keep it moist, and then for maybe 2 months, 3 months, you just let it take its time. But when you're holding it with booms in the choppy waters, it is not going to stay there. It is going to keep going out. So to give it that much time for bioremediation is difficult in the water.
I
Thank you,
remember.
sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I remember that when we had that bioenzymes conference, Dr. Snehal, you might also remember, there was an organization from Bombay. Um, they were working with Indian Navy, and they had created these nature-based solutions using bioenzymes for oil spills. I'm forgetting their name, but she had given, like, they had shown a video how they had done and all. And suddenly, when you were talking, I just could think of them that is the first place when I saw someone showing how they have done this nature-based solution as an application for oil spills. That toxic waste removal. So that was very interesting.
I think a lot
But
of
there
this
is
is in the.
no,
Mhm.
but when we say about this, Anuja, there is no scientific basis, you know. We just because there is no follow up of that whether we have been actually able to do that degradation. We say that we have applied, But at what scale we could do, or even at 1% we have done, I don't know, because there's no scientific basis for it. Yeah. Yeah, please go
Yeah.
ahead, Shekhar.
Shekhar
Yeah,
Saab,
see, sorry.
sorry to
Yeah,
interject. Most of the engineers use the term bioenzyme. In my little understanding, it's a flawed terminology
Mhm.
because enzyme is a product of biological system. It's a gene expression. Non-biological enzymes are called catalysts in inorganic chemistry.
Mhm.
So bio is life, enzyme is a life product. So life enzyme is what we are talking.
no, I didn't talk about bioenzymes. My
No,
knowledge
no,
is
not
limited.
you. No,
Yeah,
this was
yeah,
his
yeah.
question to Anuja's point. Bioenzyme is a stupid expression in my understanding
Okay.
because enzyme is biological expression. Now, biological vision means eye, but there is non-eye vision. We call it camera. We don't call it eye. And eye brings a coordination between the retina, the lens, and the neural messages going to the centers in the brain. Camera does not have the backup. It's merely the lens and image and the film at most. Anyway, so bioenzyme, as far as possible, if wastewater engineers at whatever level of waste, if they understand this particular terminology, this will this will really hasten the speed of understanding.
I think we'll have this conversation with, um, with the with another group that is Bioenzymes Academy, and they, I think it'll be a very good conversation जहाँ पे मैं भी बहुत कुछ सीखूंगी. I'm not a science chemistry student, but I'm learning from everyone. So I think मुनि सर
No,
हम लोग एक को
I
करेंगे, and मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगेगा, मुझे भी सीख अच्छा लगता है.
we are learning. It's all mutual learning. There is
But we
Currently, one of the
yes.
problem that the industry is still dealing with is the produced water gets oil and it's mixed with the soil. And to break down the long carbon foot chains, that oil is still a challenge. That's why the lot of that soil, contaminated soil, is there. Industry is still grappling with it. At the moment, it is storing, and slowly they are trying to break it down to a level where the CPCB can say, yes, there is no more oil content in the soil. You can freely dispose the soil somewhere because that soil is to be broken down.
The
That
soil and
oil.
water, so soil and water properties need to be understood with particular reference to ORP, oxidation reduction potential of 1 meter cube of soil is equivalent to 1 kilometer cube of aquatic condition. So soil is the only structure that can handle oil. There is no other way water can handle it. Okay, coming to our enzyme understanding. Enzymes cannot bring the impossible reactions, make it possible. In inorganic chemistry, whatever change, whatever reaction, that would take millions of years or even billions of years. An enzyme would do it in hundredth or thousandth of a second. They don't make impossible reactions possible. They only speed up the reaction. And speeding up the reaction is purely a genomic machinery that has evolved and selected by nature over millions of years, hundreds of millions of years of experimentation. So little understanding of nature or natural sciences will help the engineer because I have so many engineering friends who are losing their sleep. They day in, day out, they are sincere and committed and dedicated to the issues, problems they are facing. It's not that they are messing up. But as you rightly said, that some of the textbook basics are not even covered in our curriculum. And that's how the whole world is because some few people are focused on the profit. but the victims is the whole world, even in other animals as well. Thank you.
What I've found
That
in these
Shekharji is in
years is,
alignment with
Anji.
that. Yeah. No, that's what I said to Ravalji. That I like when I heard you, Shekharji, that you are in alignment with what Ravalji is talking, because you also started with the same thing, that what it is written in the textbooks, we don't go beyond that. With the example of what you showed about the elliptical moon, so that gives an understanding that yes, you are also looking beyond, and you are also trying to propagate the same way, the way Ravalji always takes our attention towards, because whatever it is given in the textbook, we take it for granted and we just go ahead with that. But the orientation has to happen now. Yeah. Please go ahead, Shekharji.
See, I'm a bootstrapped MSME. That's like trial by fire. And I'm not academically accomplished, man. Let me be very honest. But I think a lot. And whatever I do, I have to make it work, give value to the person. And if I write a research report, nobody is going to respect that. I have to make something that works, gives him value. And as a bootstrapped MSME, it's a trial by fire. One of the benefit is, unlike school where I have to study 10 subjects, whether I like all 10 of them or not, maybe only one is my favorite. Now, when I am an entrepreneur, I can only pick up what I need to study, and I study with a lot of interest. That's why the absorption is better. And I don't have to study a lot of things. I don't have to get a certificate. So in my area, I'm able to get a fairly good understanding with my imagination and what's happening. So
Basically,
Can I share a story? Sir, a
please.
little 1 minute.
Yeah, please.
You see, when the Big Bang happened, there was nothing like iron. There was no Fe. The first Fe appeared after 1.5 billion years of galactical explosions and planetary collisions and all that. That Fe once formed, it came to planet Earth, but that time there was no oxygen on the planet. Now oxygen needs to be understood, and that's what I talk with engineers, that I invite them to prove me wrong when I say our atmosphere has no oxygen. Now they all think that I'm joking rather. That's not, I'm talking science, because atmosphere has O2, which is a molecular oxygen. There is no elemental oxygen free on the planet. Either it is FeO or calcium oxide or carbonate, bicarbonate, phosphates, nitrates, and so on and so forth. But O2 appeared only 2 billion years ago. And FeO together came. That reaction was possible, but that reaction facilitated within 1 millionth of a second. That is the function of hemoglobin, which has Fe as a nucleus of the molecule. So my point is, unless you rightly focus on the small area of your specialization, unless we bring all the small areas of specialization, go deeper and bring them together in a collaborative manner, then only we'll have some solutions. Otherwise, every day their situation is worsening. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we had a good 1 hour of discussion. I didn't know how the time passed.
thank you. It is true that collaboration is the way forward. And we are all one tiny dot in the ocean. So every little innovation, every little thought that can lead to another spark, and I think that's the way हम light करते बड़ा उजाला कर सकते हैं. Uh, it was really I would say it was technical, but we did touch upon a lot of real problems that are not often discussed or talked about. हम लैंड के प्रॉब्लम से ही बाहर नहीं जा पाते तो हम ओशन में पहुंच गए और हम ऑयल स्पिल के बारे में बात कर रहे थे. दैट इज रियली something that we only read in the newspapers or watch on the the video on TV news. But people have not, a common person does not have time to even think about it because uska directly usse kya wasta hai. But I think टेक्निकल पीपल, इंजीनियर्स, केमिस्ट, ये सब लोगों को इस तरफ से सोचना है कि ये प्रॉब्लम्स आर डेफिनेटली डायरेक्टली रिलेटेड टू ह्यूमन हेल्थ, ह्यूमन लाइफ एंड आर मरीन लाइफ, whatever the entire environment का जो chain है, the circle है, it all gets impacted whether we see it or not directly. So it was a wonderful discussion. I am really happy that you joined, Ravalji and Shekhar. You had like answers for most of our questions, and of course there'll be more answers you'll be able to show us आगे जाके.
शेखर साहब, एक क्वेश्चन उपस्थित हो. Why IITs do not have a single simple demonstrable manner or module for liquid or solid waste treatment? Because whatever we say, nobody will believe unless we know each other well. But I can say that I am not a marine engineer. I have nothing to do with it. But sewage, even an amoeba produces sewage. We all produce sewage. And none of IITian or none of the management expert can say, I have no contribution to sewage production. So whether we are in Rashtrapati Bhavan or in a college or school or institute, or in the field, a farmer, we all generate sewage. And sewage is a biological refuse. Now, sewage department, there are departments teaching sewage engineering for 3-4 decades. They claim specialization, and none of them still is in a position to show a demonstrable treatment plant.
I told you, sir, the technocrats, senior technocrats have stopped imagining long time back. They have a lot of knowledge.
No, my point comes now. Now, sewage is a waste, yes, but is a source of pathogen. If we leave a drum of grease open for next 10, 15, 20 years, I don't know whether it will produce any pathogens. Or whatever knowledge I have, it will not produce pathogens for 200 years. The point is, sewage is not an avoidable component of human body. And if we do not treat well, this COVID-19 has shown it. The whole world came to lockdown. But sewage production industry was not under lockdown even for a single day, anywhere on the planet. So all other industrial applications, approach, and treatment has some relevance. But sewage industry is a completely, and I'm talking about human body sewage. That makes it, that puts it totally different from the rest of the waste. Thank you.
I think we need to find one of the next waste warriors that I would like to find is someone who's working in sewage, and you would like to get insights from their experiences कि वो लोग क्या कर रहे हैं उसके लिए, because yeah, it is, we have various waste management related problems and this is one of them. So we should try and address ASAP. Everything is on ASAP list, लेकिन
Anuja, we have been talking about this since long. We have to take this up also, this topic. But very, very thankful to Shekharji. Really got a lot of good insights about the skimmers and all. And that is going to be helpful, surely. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It was a pleasure speaking to you, Mr. Rawal, Dr. Snehal. And thank you, Anuja, for inviting me.
I salute you, sir, for your honesty in
Thank
restricting
you very
your
much,
talk
sir.
to the field known to you. Most of the engineers, they venture outside their field and claim so many things. Anyway, but I salute you with both my hands. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. Thank you so
Thank
much for your time, everyone, for joining.
I can
And
tell you, Shekharji, this is rare, huh? Where Muni Ravalji will, salute, not with one but two, you got. So it's a rare. That means
Thank
you
you
are
very much.
really a genuine worker and genuinely you are doing a good
Thank you.
work. So that is an
Thank
indication.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
thank
Thank
you,
you very much.
thank you
Thank you.
everyone. And इसका जब recording मैं share करूँगी, I will post it and then Dr. Snehal, you can share with Ravalji also, and we shall keep discussing and finding out how can more interns actually learn about visualization and go into experiential learning, because bookish won't really help. So thank you so much for your insights. I learned a lot. मुझे बहुत खुशी हुई
Thank
कि
you.
मैं आप लोगों के साथ आज सीख सकी. Thanks, and good night.
Thank you.
Take care.
Good night. Good night. Bye.
Good night.
Good night.